I'm Alison Dean. I've scaled companies, led global teams, and I'm a lifelong student of well-being. And yes, motherhood is part of that curriculum. After years partnering with visionary leaders, I know the future belongs to those who create with care. Welcome to the Dean's List. More than a podcast, this is a community of thoughtful founders, creative minds, and conscious consumers. If that's you, congratulations, you're already on the list. Welcome to the Dean's List, where we are decoding the complex matrix of vital health, creative prowess, and business intelligence. I'm your host, Alison Dean, and in today's episode, we're walking a mile in a different kind of shoe with Anya Jensen, the pioneering force behind Anya's Reviews and Anya's Shop and Anya's events. Anya champions the barefoot footwear movement, advocating for shoes that don't just protect our feet, but also promote natural movement and alignment. For years, she's been reviewing and recommending footwear that offers the closest sensation to walking barefoot, while educating on the benefits of allowing our feet to move as nature intended. Join us today as Anya shares her journey into the world of barefoot footwear, shedding light on how changing our shoes can transform our health and our connection to the ground beneath us. Hello, Anya.
Hello, Allison.
So happy to have you. All right, so lots to cover. I really want to just dive right on in. Can you share some of your background, like the story behind how Anya's Reviews came to be, perhaps the inspiration? I know you had your own foot health experiences, so how did it all come together?
I definitely had some foot health experiences and a lack of accessibility to footwear that was going to be beneficial for me. So that's really the underlying mission statement. The whole goal of everything I do is that helping to educate and increase access so that people can just realize that it's an option, since it's not something that you normally, the way that I approach footwear and foot health isn't standard of care. It's not what you see when you walk into the department store, but a lot of people are searching for it without knowing that they're searching for it. So I had foot issues as a kid, and they just, combination of genetics and lifestyle and poor footwear, tight, restrictive footwear, particularly not having strong feet. And then over years of living like that, it came to a head. And I was just in a lot of pain until I found foot-shaped footwear, which is so odd that you have to even say foot-shaped footwear. Like, it's footwear, it should be shaped for the feet.
Right.
But I had never even thought about shoes in that way. And so I first found a pair of foot-shaped shoes. Ultra running shoes was the brand. And it was like my mind was just blown and my feet were so much more comfortable. And it kind of went from there.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, that's like significant though. Like, first experiencing just, discovering a foot-shaped shoe, finding a shoe, like even finding the shoe, like how did you find that shoe? Like, were you just, like how did that, I'm like curious just because I feel like that's not obvious to a lot of people of like, wait, my shoes don't actually like really account for the shape of my foot. And then is it like you Googled foot-shaped shoe or how'd that all unfold?
So a lot of people nowadays are doing that. They're searching for, how can I find a shoe that actually fits, that doesn't squish my toes? And that's great. Yeah. I didn't even think to do that because I didn't have the language. I didn't even know what I was looking for. I just knew that I was in pain. And my podiatrist sent me to Fleet Feet, which is a chain of kind of orthopedic comfort / running shoes. So a lot of people go there for running, but a lot of people who don't run go there for these comfort shoes. And so my podiatrist was sending me there to find these like stiff, you can't bend them, like put your orthotic in them kind of shoes. And they have this policy where you can exchange endlessly, basically, because they want you to be comfortable in them. I kept going back because I'd go home with a pair of shoes and I'd wear them around. Was wearing them inside the house even. Like, I wasn't even going barefoot in the house. And I'm like, these are so uncomfortable. And they're like $200 shoes. They're supposed to be like top of the line. I've got my custom orthotic that wasn't prefab, like it was made for my foot, $350. And I couldn't find anything that was comfortable. I think it was like the fourth time I came back with a pair of shoes to return that the attendant said, maybe you want to try these. And they brought out a pair of Ultra shoes. So kudos to Ultra Running founders, Golden and Brian. They had a vision. They got them into chain stores like this. And Fortunately, it wasn't the first thing that was shown to me, but it was there. And I eventually found it. And just looking at it, I was like, oh, okay. Like this looks promising, right? Because my big toe was really inflamed. I was in a lot of pain. And every shoe, even these orthopedic expensive comfort shoes, were tapered at the tip. They were pointy. So my big toe couldn't lay flat. And that was the thing that was really in pain. So I put those Ultras on and I was like, oh, like the angels started singing. I was like, what is this new experience? And I didn't go back. I never had to exchange again. I wore those, and that was my first step, pun intended, into natural footwear world. And I went from there to learning more about foot strengthening and the importance of the nerves in your feet and exposing them to texture. And so trying to be barefoot more and working on needing less support. But that comfort of the naturally shaped shoe was the first aha moment that I had. And then once you start thinking natural, okay, like this is the way feet are shaped. Let's have a shoe that mirrors it. What about the way feet are supposed to move and the way they're supposed to function, and finding shoes that complement that, and building a foot that's capable of doing what it's supposed to, because you can't really build a foot like that if it's 100% of the time housed in the super restrictive tight shoe. So it really informed how I started to approach my feet. And I also had a good friend who exposed me to Katie Bowman, who is a really smart lady. She's a biomechanist. She has all these books about foot health and other whole body things. I read her book, Body Barefoot, at around this time. So it just everything was just sort of clicking for me that it was time to approach it differently, because I had done everything that I could the traditional way, and it was not helping. I was getting worse, actually. So we tried the alternate way, and then I haven't been back since. So I don't wear orthotics or at all. I was wearing them 100% of the time for years, and now I haven't worn an orthotic in at least 7 years.
You've got very strong feet now, Anya.
They are strong.
I feel like you have very strong feet. Yeah. No, they are. I mean, I watched the videos. All the people that are watching or listening, it's very, very helpful to take a look at Anya's page, because she definitely does do a lot to educate, and a lot of the education is her showing her feet. So you can definitely see just what feet are capable of, and especially feet that weren't doing those things for a long while. I mean, the power of the body to repair and strengthen. I think Anya is a testament to what is possible, especially with your feet. Okay, so obviously you had some aha moments, but then what then prompted you to say, okay, I'm now putting this online, I want to start writing about this, and I want to start, I guess spreading the message of what I'm learning? Or, I mean, is it kind of like Julia movie where, she's like cooking every day and like learning as she goes kind of a thing, but she's like documenting it to like spread the message? Like, is that sort of like what was coming to you? Like, I'm going to learn, and as I'm learning, I'm going to share with everyone else and see what happens.
A little bit. Yeah. So at the time, this was after Born to Run book had its huge, super popular, super influential on the athletic community and the running community. And then most of the options were athletic, virtually all of them. There was just a very small selection of lifestyle shoes. And
Okay.
the ones that were available were men's shoes. And I remember feeling like, well, I can barely walk. So, this Born to Run angle and the five fingers and the sneakers, it's not really fitting. It's like, I don't see myself there. And I wanted to, for one, help people who are like me find options and find information and realize that it's a lifestyle thing. It doesn't have to be an athletic thing. You don't have to be an athlete to benefit from this information. It can be very accessible and really should be. Kids, different abilities, different ages, weights, all of that. It shouldn't be that, none of those things should be barriers to the benefits that you can get from having functionally strong feet. So I just felt like there was this big, huge missed opportunity for all of these people who really could benefit from these ideas, but felt like it wasn't for them because they're just normal people and they don't run. So when I was doing my research for myself, because I'm trying to find out how to live this way, how to find shoes, how to improve my foot health, I thought that I should share it for these other people who were like me. And that was really how it began. Was I just wanted to make that space available.
Yeah.
And then it was kind of like trying to give little nudges to brands of like, look, I'm sharing about these shoes, I'm reviewing these shoes, and a lot of people are interested in them. So what if you made shoes for people like us instead of us just buying these athletic sneakers and wearing them for every day? Let's try and expand and start thinking about these different demographics of people who really want and need your product, but with different use cases. We need stylish shoes, we need everyday shoes, we need winter shoes, all these things, and expanded size ranges and different width options. And so that was kind of the secondary goal was, okay, now that I'm seeing that there are people who want to hear this, can we push back and be like, hey, we're here, we're ready to buy shoes. So can you make shoes for us?
It's amazing. I mean, it really is amazing. Okay, so you're doing Anya's reviews, and was it those conversations with various brands that really prompted Anya's shop to be born and like the Barefoot Shoe Finder? Like what was that, I guess, progression for you? How quickly, I guess if we're talking timelines, when Anya's reviews was born to Anya's shop and then Barefoot Shoe Finder, and then I guess also now you're also doing events, which I'm like so sad that all the events are not near me. I mean, one day I think I'll fly out for an event. Like you heard it here on the Dean's List, right? Got to make an appearance and just try on all the shoes. But definitely curious about the timeline, and then like any challenges that you recall, or like as things were expanding in the business. And I guess once you actually really even realize, you're like, wow, this is a business. Like I can actually make this into a business for myself. I think that's a fascinating story to speak on.
Yeah, so I was doing blogging for about 2 years before we opened the retail store. And during that time, it was becoming more of a business. I would say by about 2 years in, is that when it was 2 or 3 years in where I stopped doing my other job. I had a part-time, I owned a audiovisual rental business that we just rented out projectors and screens, and I didn't have any passion about that. So I was like spending as little time doing that and spending all my time doing this other blogging and stuff like that, and realizing that I needed to make some life changes and just make one my business. So I was doing the affiliate marketing with the blogging. And in those 2 years, so many of the brands that really appealed to me and to my audience in the lifestyle sector were overseas. That the US market had a really, really good athletic options, but not so good in the lifestyle department. So I was always referring people to these brands that were overseas. And then it was just repeat, like so many times, I was just always hearing, well, I don't want to order overseas because then I have to worry, what if they don't fit and it costs, I don't know how to return them, and feeling just not comfortable with it at all. And so it was actually exactly 4 years ago in a few days. September 29th was the day that we launched the Anya Shop 2020. And my husband, Justin, joined forces with me for that one. So he was really interested in the e-commerce side of it, and he's more technical. So he helped build the website, and, he helps with the logistics there. And I just am the creative, and I know the shoes really well. So I was like, okay, this is what we got to carry. And these are the colors and these are the models. And so we opened up with just a few options to test out the concept. And it was only European brands that we felt like customers here would really love to have better access to.
Yeah.
And then we went from there and just expanded the inventory. And now it's, got a warehouse and fulfillment team, and it just grew from there. So the concept, the idea is that we're providing something that you can't otherwise get easily. So rather than just trying to intercept people's shopping habits, it's like actually really trying to fill a need. And that's been really key to everything. I feel like in terms of just the motivation and the passion is like, there wasn't something here before, and we filled that space and wanted to actually do something that hadn't been done, and knowing that people want it and need it. So that feels good. That feels good to do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So were there any, do you recall, I guess in the last, 4 years ago, maybe, do you recall, was there any challenges? I mean, obviously, I guess procuring things from Europe, that can pose some logistical challenges, like if things don't arrive, or, whatever that looks like, or just holding inventory when you don't yet have a warehouse, or, I mean, I don't know, there could be a host of things, but is there anything obvious, or was it like, nope, everything just kind of fell in line?
Things don't fall. I think that doesn't happen like that. I don't think. There were a lot of challenges. I mean, so the very first thing we did was a pre-order, and we don't do pre-orders anymore because like you said, sometimes things get delayed. Actually, perpetually things get delayed. Like you need to expect that they are delayed. So you do your best guess estimate, you add 6 weeks, and then you still don't bank. You still don't say it's going to be here by then, because you're going to be wrong. If you tell people it's going to be here by then, it's going to come later. So we did this pre-order as the very first thing, and it took a really long time for them to come. There were some delays, and then navigating, importing, and customs. There was all this stuff that we had to figure out how to do. So we had things get stuck in customs, and we're like trying to figure out what do they need, and what do we do wrong, and how do we get the products delivered. And now we just don't do pre-orders. I mean, we would be better at it now, but it's just not. Like, people get angry and anxious because you have their money and you told them when something is going to come, and and then you just keep saying it's delayed. That doesn't feel good when you're the customer. So that was one thing. I mean, there's been so many things. So many things we've had to learn.
All right. But you've overcome them. I feel like, I will say, as a customer, I agree with all of the things in terms of the approach that you took with creating the website, because when I found you, it was like a refreshing, like it was like, maybe it was an aha for me too, like angel singing, because I was like, wow, there's like a place where it's all kind of there for me, and like lots of measurements where I can just like confidently guess what my size is, but also if I have to return something, it's not going to be a ginormous nightmare. And I feel like, I applaud you in that respect too, because I know you do have a smaller team, all things considered. And always the returns have been like very painless. So I even had a friend ask me like, oh, is it going to be, problematic with Anya? I was like, no, I've never had an issue. So I think that is something certainly to applaud, because that really does deter future purchases. Like if you, it certainly has for me with other, other brands or other, stores. If I have a negative return experience, I probably won't, they're not going to be my first choice to purchase again, basically, right? It's going to be like, no, yuck. But no, I'm like always delighted. Yeah, sure. Let me order. Now I kind of have a sense of what my size is though, because now I like know the brands because of you. I know the brands that, I'm like, oh, I'm a this size in the Balenka shoes, or I'm a this size in the Vivo shoes. So it's like I have a better idea of what I should order anyway. So thank you for that. Okay. So curious, like, what are some common maybe misconceptions people have about barefoot shoes and foot health? Like now I'm sure you've heard so many things or so many different responses, but how do you address any misconceptions that people may have?
So one major one is that a barefoot shoe is one thing. And I call it the natural footwear spectrum, but because barefoot shoes is very colloquial and that's what people are using, that's still the terminology that I mostly use. But the reality is that it is quite a spectrum, and that there are a lot of different reasons to make use of different shoes, types of shoes at different times in your life, or just different people have different preferences or different abilities. So people have an idea that it always means a very thin, flexible sole with zero support, and that they're huge and clowny. And the reality is there's just so many different options and so many different ways to make them work for you. I use a 3/4 length orthotic in my Vivo barefoot shoes while I was strengthening my feet, because I had relied on orthotics for so long, I couldn't just go straight into it. And it worked great for me. Like it was a really good in between. And then after a while, I was able to not use it anymore. But by being more open-minded about like sort of ditching the dogma and just figuring out what I needed to do, like what's my goal, and moving towards it, but without being rigid, like there might be multiple ways to get to it. That is a common thing that I talk about. But, I've seen that change a lot over the last decade. 7 or 8 years ago, it was very rigid thinking about it. Like it was like you're a diehard or a purist or you're not into it at all. So I've seen some really positive change in that idea that we can open it up more, and that we can think about it in a broader terms, so that more people can figure out how to enter. But I do still consistently have to remind people that even though that's true, sometimes we think we need support and cushion, and we maybe need less of it than we think we do. So it's kind of this push and pull of like, yes, there are definitely reasons to be open-minded and not be so hardcore on thin, flexible soles, no support 100% of the time. But also, maybe we're not always doing the best things for ourselves if we never even push our limits and try to make less use of it, try to strengthen our feet, try to have less cushion. And so it's a give and a take. And that's kind of where we're at right now, is I have a less hard of a time convincing people of the spectrum of the being inclusive and the different options and the different thicknesses, and more of a hard time of, hey, maybe you don't need that all the time. Like maybe you say you have flat feet, you say you have high arches, you say you need orthotics. I'm thinking maybe there's a way you could work on your feet so that they actually work better for you no matter what shoes you wear. And you don't have to be relying on that support. That conversation is hard to have with on a broader sense. One-to-one, yes, but like, culturally in our modern day world, it's difficult to get that across.
I can see that. Yeah. It's because everyone's feet are unique. So, I mean, while there are obviously similarities, it's kind of like, and I think it's also, people's appetite to want to change, which is also another, I mean, it's a hard thing when you've been conditioned to see shoes in a certain way, or, I mean, even when podiatrists, I think, are saying, oh, you need that pair of Hokas, right, to get you through the day. It's like, it's an interesting mind shift when you're like, oh, my feet are capable of doing more things than I'm being told. I think I can see where that could be the challenge. So obviously now you have a warehouse, you said that, so kudos. Curious, obviously there's a lot of choice out there, or at least there's a lot more choice now than ever before related to the natural footwear space. How do you, like evaluate and select what actually is going to go into the shop? And like, do you feel like you're being more selective now, or are you being more like open to everything because now, you have I guess the ability to offer more?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we try to balance it where we want to offer a lot of things, but it will kill your business if you try to offer everything. And so we do have to be selective. The nice thing, so it's such a good pairing with the blog because I test and review so many shoes and have for 6 years now. And on a very I'm very meticulous and detail oriented, and I have testers who help me. So I have a pretty clear idea of what I think is going to do well, what I think is going to fit people well, how they wear, the ones that have the best quality. And that's how I choose. And as much as we'd love to have all the brands, we just can't. And some of these brands have really low margins. They just aren't producing shoes on a massive scale for really cheap. They're not marking them up a ton. So then they can't offer them wholesale on good terms. So sometimes we have offerings that we just really want to bring, but that really don't make us any money because the margins are just not there. Because they don't have margins, so there's some of that, and having to figure out the balance of making sure that we're still showing up for the community in a way that serves them and not going to drive ourselves into the ground by offering stuff that we can't profit off of.
Well, yeah, I mean, you definitely have to strike that balance of, if it's a business, you have to not. Yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. So something self-select by themselves in that capacity, just because it doesn't behoove you to have them in inventory. So that does make perfect sense. Okay. So obviously I know that the purpose or your initial intention was, and I think it still is in a large part, but education, right? So just really educating the masses on what natural foot health is and what that looks like. So how are you now, or what is the balance between that and like running the business side of the house look like? Is it now your husband, because he can focus on that, it's allowing you to still pay attention to the education, or are you needing to make accommodations for yourself to kind of do it all?
Yeah, it's a lot. I have my hands in a lot of different pots at the moment. My husband is full-time on the shop, so that helps. And I'm shop mode, I don't know, 20% of the time. So I'm mostly sort of directing, advising, not so much the minutia for the shop. And the rest of that time is expo planning, blogging, email list, collaborations, outreach. So there's a lot of like behind the scenes talking with other entities and other professionals and meeting with them sometimes. So the Healthy Feet Alliance is an organization, kind of a collective. And there's a lot of health professionals in there. So I'll listen to presentations to make sure I'm kind of up to date, at least a little bit on research and findings.
Right.
And so there's a lot of little things like that. It's a good job for someone who's maybe a little bit distractible because I just like change what I'm doing 100 times a day. But it gets challenging for sure. I have some really great assistants that help with upkeep on the blog and things like that. It's definitely tough to kind of keep my mind on all these different things.
Yeah. This is where a team is very helpful, right? Having good people and good places within the org. Can you talk a little bit about your collaborations? Because I think that's an interesting thing to highlight. You have a partnership with Origo, which I think is super cool. I feel like there's probably other ones that I'm missing right now because I know that you've had a few things on the shop that say like, buy Anya. But I guess, how did all that come to fruition, or where did the idea for you come into play where you're like, okay, now I have a big enough audience where I want to create my own shoes. Cause that's really exciting and awesome. And not everyone can say like they're birthing shoes. So, what did that look like?
That kind of like everything that I've done is it's just you start small and you just learn as you go and keep going. So at the very beginning, it was Etsy shop. So I was finding shoemakers and asking if they would do a custom shape that was custom cut to my foot shape, a custom sole, so that it would be wider in the toes. And there were some like total fails where I sent them my tracing and then they'd like widen the ball of the shoe and keep the tip pointy. And I'm like, okay, well, that's not what I wanted. And so trying to find somebody who would actually modify not just the width of the ball of the foot, which is really typically shoes that are marked as wide, all that they've done is added more material on the upper. So it's more that they've actually added volume so that your foot can spread out more, but the actual sole itself hasn't changed. And that's pretty much standard for shoemaking.
I had no idea.
So I had to be very like hands-on and like explain it really clearly what I wanted. And in order to do that, you can't have prefabricated soles. They have to be hand cut. So I found a couple Etsy shops that were willing to do that for me. And then I'd share about them and then they'd start getting all these orders for these foot-shaped versions of their shoes. So there are a couple Etsy shops that I actually got converted over to Barefoot, and they ended up selling so many more of them that they stopped making their other shoes. And so Labu leather is one. It's just one guy who hand makes these sandals, and they're just like perfection. The leather is amazing. The way that they're designed is so versatile, and the shape of them is that the one that he sells now all the time, and then we also stock them in our shop, is based off of my foot. That one custom order that he made for me, we worked together at some point. He was like, okay, I'm selling so many of these. Can you help me just make them into a permanent model? So we tweaked it a little bit, but for the most part, it's like my foot, which is fun. So that was the beginning of it, was kind of this seeking out shoemakers that are maybe a little more malleable, and then working together so they already had the design, but I helped them figure out how to tweak it so that it was more foot friendly. And I did something similar with croup-on sandals, which is another, they're just stunning. The quality is amazing. The craftsmanship. I really like that. I really like this small business, this heritage skill set that I want to preserve, but let's make it wider. Let's make it more comfortable and more foot friendly. So that was the very beginning of my design the story, I guess, my design history. And then from there, it was like, okay, I'd have these ideas of things that I wanted to see. And I would kind of reach out and pursue whether it was, can we get this in a certain color? Because I feel like this color is missing and it's super popular in America. So can I get this color and then we'll stock it in our shop, or this version? And with Origo, there were no huaraches in an anatomical shape that I could find. And I was contacting all these people, trying to see if anyone would work with me, and nobody would. So I reached out to Origo because I knew they produced in Mexico and they lived in Mexico for a long time. They're Colombian. And they were like, hey, we have been thinking about doing the same thing. Let's join forces. So we connected and did that one together. So it's been just, a step-by-step journey of all fueled by what I really wanted to see, like what I wanted to wear, like the holes in the options. I'm getting dressed and thinking, oh, I want this. I want to wear this, but nobody has it. And so let's go out and figure out how we're going to make it.
That's a great position to be in, when you can be like, yeah, now I'm in the business of, I can actually figure it out. Like, I think that's a power play. I love that. Okay, this is kind of like I think this is a meatier question because, well, it is. If you could redesign like our notion of the traditional shoe industry and the shoe industry's approach to foot health or foot wellness, if you could redesign it from the ground up, what fundamental changes do you think you would implement and why?
Babies shouldn't wear shoes or socks. And once they start wearing shoes, baby booties are pretty foot friendly. But once they go to school, kids start wearing really supportive shoes. So let's stop doing that because most of these kids don't have any foot problems or any foot discomfort. And let's save the supportive shoes for specific needs, like actually identified need, rather than have it be the blanket. Your kid's starting to go to school. They need a rigid heel counter. They need arch support. They need, so that would be the first thing, is the way that we deal with children's feet, I think, is completely messed up and it's causing some problems. So I think if we just dialed that back, that would be the very first thing that I would change, is we need to keep feet free for as long as possible, unless there is a identified medical need for support or stability or AFOs or whatever it may be. Then once we get to adult shoes, it would be this spectrum. It would be, there are these supportive, more rigid footwear for these reasons. You have hallux rigidus, you have had foot surgery, you've broken your foot, here are the options and here's what it's good for. Here's kind of your middle everyday, or you're on your feet 100% of the time, or you're running a marathon, and then the more minimal for putting around town or going on nature walks, and having the options all be there and a better understanding of what they're good for and when, instead of just this blanket, this is a good shoe, this is a bad shoe. It's just not very helpful. And then On top of all of this is the foot shape. The standard for footwear should be foot shaped. And let's say I don't think that dressy shoes with a pointy toe are going to go away. And
Right.
I don't think that we even have to make them go away, as long as we understand that this is not the best thing for our feet. It's like, this is ice cream. This is dessert. You know, this isn't every day, 100% of the time, all shoes. It's that, like, I'm leading a meeting and I need, this makes me feel like I can do it. Okay, if that's you, fine. Those options are probably never going to go away for those types of situations. Or I'm in the courtroom, or whatever it may be, and you feel sexy in them, you feel powerful in them, whatever. But the standard for kind of your everyday good shoe should be foot shaped. I mean, that should be a given, I think.
Yes, I think you have definitely helped me with that. I mean, I definitely have my cheat days where I'm wearing something that you would not recommend. But I think the overall is, I'm definitely using my foot friendly shoes. I'm curious, like, so I don't know if you saw the new launch of sneaks, which are alleging that they're, I don't think that Sarah Blakely said foot shaped, but she basically said you're walking on clouds, even though it's a heel. So I'm like, would Anya try those? Or are you like, hell no?
I don't know.
I'm curious.
I don't know what sneaks are.
Oh, you should look them up, Anya. So basically, Sarah Blakely of Spanx, like she said it took her 10 years to create. It's a high heel, like sneaker shoe. So kind of similar to, I want to say, I don't know, like maybe Nike did this at some point, or Adidas, like, but it's allegedly, like, if you look at the shoe, she is saying that she worked with shoemakers so that it feels like you're walking on clouds and you're not actually, like, your whole foot is supported, but it's a heel. So I definitely, okay, you have to check them out now, and like maybe you'll indulge me and tell me what you think. But okay, all right, well then you don't know because you haven't seen them yet. Okay, so homework. Now I'm giving you homework. That's funny. Okay, I asked this of everyone on the show because this is, where business and wellness intersect. What does wellness mean to you, Anya?
Wellness means to me being able to do the things that you want to do with your life. And just honestly, I would call it a peace. So it's not about being perfect. It's not about being better than everybody else. It's not about, having all the things, but just being able to go out and live the life that you want.
It's beautiful.
Because your body is up to the task.
Yes. And your feet. Do you have any daily, like, wellness non-negotiables? So like things that maybe you do when you wake up, or things that you have to, check off a list every day to just make yourself feel like, yeah, it's a good day. Like if maybe you don't do one of the things, it's not as good of a day. Is there any of those things in your repertoire?
Definitely a walk. But there are some days where I don't. But for the most part, I pretty much walk every day. I try to walk first thing in the morning. That to me is kind of like ground zero of just getting blood to my brain. Moving a little bit, getting the blood flowing, getting my feet moving. That would be ground zero for me.
I love that. Yes, that's a good one. I was doing that with my dog in the morning until there was like loose dogs on the run in my neighborhood. And I don't have a dog that deals well with loose dogs on the run. So that sort of has now assaulted me in like fear, where, I mean, I could guess go for a walk on my own, but I feel really sad because then my dog looks at me and is like, why aren't you taking me with you? So now I just don't go at all, which is like, it's so sad. Okay. Since you've immersed yourself in the foot wellness space, I'm curious if you've had any unexpected insights or lessons about just holistic wellness overall? Like, was there anything where, even though your focus is on feet, something else kind of popped up for you where you're like, oh, that's interesting. Like, I'm curious.
There were a lot of intersecting things for me. One thing that is still specifically related to feet is the way that it can calm your nervous system down to get stimulation through your feet. So you can think of texture walking barefoot outdoors as a foot strengthening exercise, but it's also calming to your nervous system. Like, it can help with your anxiety. It can help you pull you into the moment and help you just feel more grounded, both literally and mentally. So that would be one that is kind of more of a whole life wellness benefit that started, I first started thinking about because I was trying to improve my foot health. But at the same time that I was working on my feet, I was thinking about a lot of other things, because it's hard to heal a body that doesn't get enough sleep, that has unmitigated stress, that, is full of a bunch of crappy food, so there were a lot of things where I wanted to heal. And then I just naturally had to start thinking about all these other things. I'm thinking about what I'm putting on my feet. So now I'm thinking about what I'm putting in my body also. So I really changed a lot of things about the way that I ate too. And started getting into breath work, because the way that you breathe and your core affect the way that you stand and your feet, and also the way your feet are functioning affect up higher. So I just started thinking of things as more of an interconnected, everything is interconnected, and it's really hard to just parse out and say, I'm doing this for this reason. It's all bleeds together. And even things like connection, which is one of the things that I love about my business, is that I get to connect with so many great people. And I love these friendships that I've developed over the years. And so to me, that's extremely valuable, that I feel interconnection, that I feel this like closeness with the people that I'm working with, that there's some positivity there. That also helps me be healthier. So all of it it's all, it's a lifestyle, right? It's all needs to come together to really feel right.
When you're doing, or I guess for the audience, is there, like, if someone's walking outside barefoot, could they be walking, is it just you must walk on grass, or is it like concrete is fine? Or like, are there any like tips from Anya on when you go outside, it doesn't matter, just walk outside barefoot? Or is it like, this is better than this is the worst, don't walk on this? Like, is there any spectrum that you can recommend?
Well, I feel like people have this idea that you should be able to do something. And if you're able to do something, then you can do it forever, in perpetuity, which is just not the way that bodies work. Bodies fatigue. So you may be able to walk on concrete for 5 minutes, and that doesn't mean you can't walk on concrete. It just means that you can only walk on concrete barefoot for that much time. And same with walking on uneven terrain or on soft grass, or, you can still say you can do it, even if you get to a point where you have to stop. So that's something that I feel like is a little bit of people are kind of funny of like, oh, it's bad to walk on concrete. Well, is it, or is it just bad to walk on concrete 100% of the time? Maybe it's all about dosing. And that is true for virtually everything. Like you can't eat that, except for maybe walking, which is a really cool biomechanical thing where we can walk almost endlessly. But not really, we will fatigue, we'll run out of energy. But all of the things that we want to be able to do with our feet, we're never going to be able to do them endlessly. So just we can get a lot of variety, and we can know our limits, and we can, maybe we want to walk on barefoot, and We want to sometimes walk on the pavement, sometimes walk on the grass, and we do it until we reach our limit, and then we stop.
Yeah.
And we just honor that. We honor that boundary that we have, and it doesn't mean that our feet have failed us. It just means that, we got to switch it up.
I love that. That's great. Are there any memorable stories that you have of, I guess, maybe some of your clients or customers that have reached out and given you feedback of how much what you do or what you sell has impacted their well-being?
I don't have any testimonials here to read off, but I get emails and messages daily, and my shop team, when they get returns, they get little notes, and we love it. Sometimes it's just, I needed something for a wedding really fast, and I knew that I was really dreading having to wear heels. And so I'm so grateful that you had these dressy shoes and that they came fast, and I got to be pain-free and present for this important decision. I love that. Ranging from that to, I was in so much pain, I couldn't find anything that worked for me, and these shoes have just turned my life right back up again, so that I feel like I can manage things, I can move again, and that is also awesome. So there's so many different ways that it can benefit. Some of them are more dramatic, some of them are just, I'm so happy I don't have to be in discomfort. And it's all great. I love all of it.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So this is unexpected. We're going to do a quick fire. This is an opportunity for people to perhaps experience a different dimension of Anya that they may not otherwise know. So fun fact, just it's first thing that comes to mind. Nothing should be that difficult. And then there's only a few questions after that. Are you an early bird or a night owl?
Night owl, for sure. Not a morning person.
Coffee or tea?
Both. I love both.
Okay. Favorite color?
I don't know if I have one. I really like most colors, but I do not like pink or purple unless it's just like the perfect shade.
Oh, thank God I didn't wear pink or purple. That would have been like instant revolt. What was the first paid job that you ever had?
Paper route in high school.
Cool. Oh, that's cool. Favorite cuisine?
Well, I'm a quarter Mexican, so I think I'm biased a little bit on that one, and probably Mexican.
Yep. There's definitely, I'd say, dimensions of Mexican food. As someone that was born and bred in Los Angeles, yeah, it's not all created equal, right? There's definitely I guess with everything though. Favorite band?
My favorite artist is Beyonce.
Oh, okay. I love that. That's amazing. Okay, favorite country that you've traveled to?
I think that China was probably the most spectacular place I've ever visited.
Wow, that's amazing. Did you see the Great Wall?
Of course, yes.
Yes,
southern
I've only seen it in photos.
It's like,
yeah. What's the one app, like on your phone, that you can't live without?
Oh man. I mean, do like Gmail and messages? Probably messages.
That counts.
Perfect. I'm texting all day.
That counts. What's the one word you would use to describe your business journey?
How about organic?
Oh, I like that. If you could have any entrepreneur as a mentor for a day, who would it be? You can say Beyonce if you want.
Actually, she would be a great one. Beyonce.
Okay. What is a book? I mean, you may have already answered this, but what's a book that you think has significantly influenced your mindset, be it business or otherwise?
I'm reading one that is like totally just very influential for me right now. called The Myth of Normal by Gabor Mate. And
oh, yeah.
I'm really enjoying it. From a business perspective, I think it's called Essentialism.
Oh,
Patrick
okay.
McKeown, is that right?
Yes, I think you're right. Yeah. Okay, I'll link it. Besides your own, what is another favorite business that you love?
So I really like Planet Box. No, that's like not related. So they do like bento boxes and lunch boxes and things. So
Yeah.
kind of pricey, but we got my kids them for school. Used them every day. My older son's, it's on his 6th year. Same lunchbox, looks brand new. And so we never have to use any plastic bags. We just take the whole, we take it, he takes it to school, we wash it. Anyways, I think it's fabulous. And I think it's like the best product. So there you go.
Okay. That's a great one. If you could instantly acquire one new skill instantly, what would it be?
Being a morning person.
Oh, I like that. You and I are similar in this capacity. Okay. If you could time travel to any period in history, which era would you visit?
That is tough. But I do think that 20 years ago, even though I was alive.
Okay. Oh, that's great.
So not like in history so far back, but maybe like late 90s, early 2000s. I just feel like it was a better time.
Okay. Yes, I think I relate to that too. Okay, and if you weren't doing this, what else would you be doing?
Going on a walk, eating snacks, reading a book.
Oh no, but I mean like if you weren't doing Anya's reviews and Anya's shop and Anya stuff.
If I was not doing this, Anya's reviews, what would I be doing? You know, honestly, I have no clue because nothing ever felt right. Like I was an elementary school teacher for a while. I was a math tutor. After that, we had our home business. This is just like honestly the perfect blend of my skills. I can't really imagine anything else being better.
I love that so much. All right. Well, that was the quick fire. You survived. So well done. And a few questions left. So curious where you see the natural footwear, barefoot shoe market evolving in the coming years. Like, are there trends, developments, anything that you're particularly excited about or concerned with?
I think that, I mean, this is very specific, but removable insoles in barefoot shoes, I think almost every shoe should have a removable insole that comes with it. We're starting to see more and more of that. And I think that the ones that aren't doing it are going to start soon. So that's something, it just seems like a small thing, but it really makes a big difference in the fit, the versatility of the fit. So one shoe for multiple foot types, and also answering the need for maybe more cushion at certain times. So that is an exciting thing for me. I'm seeing more and more lifestyle options, more and more style. Yes. So yeah, that's where I see it continuing to be filling in those holes that are still left. I think we're finally getting more work boots. We're finally getting soccer cleats that are wide toe box. We're going to start getting things like ski boots and dance shoe. Well, even dance shoes, there's a brand that popped up recently. So seeing all of these little more niche options that we haven't had anything for. muck boots, farm boots, stuff like that. All of those are going to start getting filled in over in the next 5 years. So I'm really excited about that, because these are people who, it might be their career and they need to wear these shoes for 8 hours a day. It might be their favorite hobby that they love to do, but it hurts their feet. So I'm really excited to see more of these specialty options coming to market for these people who have a very specific need.
Yes. I love that. Okay. This is just one thing that popped in my head right now. What do you think about the wooden clogs?
I mean, they tend to have a wider shape to them, a more anatomical shape to them, but really not foot friendly.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Right. Because you're not. Yeah. You can't push off on them. Okay. That's what I thought you were gonna say. Are there any future plans for Anya's reviews, the shop? I mean, outside of just maybe more cool new styles in the next 5 years, but any collaborations, where is your mind going with just your own business, and what could unfold in the next 5 years for that?
Definitely continuing on with the same things, just expanding them. I really love the shoe design aspect, so I'm planning on doing more of that. Also planning on getting more staff writers so that there's more perspectives and foot types and, things like that showing up in articles.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the expo, which we are kind of expanding and formalizing and figuring out how to include education along with it, and really just answer all of the needs that people have. So that's the main thing. Is it's always been, what are the most common questions? What are the biggest needs? What are the things that people are looking for? And how can we solve it for them? We're just going to keep doing that.
I love it. Yeah. I feel like the expo is definitely an interesting just concept. And I mean, I really do think that there's probably a world of possibility with how that can expand, only because there's no one else that's, I think, doing what you're doing in that space. So yes, that's a good one. That's a good one. All right. And then the last question, what advice would you give to perhaps a new entrepreneur that maybe wants to get into, the natural footwear space?
Mm-hmm. It would be that you want to make sure that what you're offering, what you're creating, is time well spent, that it is something that isn't being done well by other people.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not, rather than doing something that's redundant or iterative, what are the needs and how can you help fill those needs? Sometimes when you see trends in a niche, there's a bit of this oh, this is popular right now, let's do it. But if it's already being done a lot of times and by a lot of people really well, or then it's it's not really a good business idea. So having this value proposition really dialed in, because there's still a lot of it. There's still a lot of things and there's a lot of space, but just making sure that you're really clear on, what do I provide? How do I solve things for people? How do I add value, instead of just trying to hop in to a happening place?
Yeah. That's good. That's good. Okay. Is there anything that I didn't ask you that you were hoping I was going to ask you? Or is there anything else that you wanted to ensure we discussed?
I don't think so. Pretty much covered everything.
Cool. All right. Well, then can you share all the ways people can find you? Because we'll note it.
Yes. So the blog, where I cover all of the shoe options and categories and health-related stuff, foot health-related stuff, is anyasreviews.com. The retail store is anyas-shop.com. And then I have a weekly email newsletter that I send out that kind of covers like current sales, new releases, foot health tips, like just keeping you up to date on all this stuff. So if it's too much overwhelmed to read all the articles on the blog, you can get like more bite-sized stuff delivered to you weekly. So that's anyasreviews.com/subscribe. And then I'm also on social media. So Instagram, Facebook, and it's always Anya's Reviews handle for those.
Yes. The most recent newsletter, there was a Kickstarter campaign that Anya highlighted for some fun boots. So yeah, the newsletter is definitely a fun way to capture good info in a bite-sized portion. So yes, join the newsletter. Anya, thank you so much for being on the Dean's List. You're definitely on my perpetual Dean's List. I appreciate you. I am happy to have found you, and I will continue to be happy to buy all of your shoes.
Well, thank you, Alison. It's a great time.
And thank you all for tuning into this episode of the Dean's List. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform to stay updated, and follow us on Instagram at official_Dean's List and YouTube at It's Official Dean's List. I'm your host, Alison Dean. Until next time.